Wait, hold on.
Wait,
COVID
Bradley? COVID? Olivia, COVID? Wait, what the fuck? Roberto? COVID? Miguel? COVID? Wait. James. Something different. Okay, he died after fatal gunshot wound to the chest as a result of an accidental discharge of his service weapon. Remember, guys, what do we say in the gun community? There are no ADs, only NDs. There are no accidents, only negligence, okay? I'm sorry, I can't read these.
Well, how did they die?
Dude, I can't.
Read it.
Deportation officer Brian P. Beliso suffered a heart attack while engaged in a foot pursuit of a fugitive. Who I need a black DGGer that wants to die, okay?
Jesus Christ.
Well, look, this guy raised $800,000. Oh, it doesn't. No, it doesn't even have to be black. It could be white now. Sorry, we're killing ICE is killing everybody now. Black people, white people, everybody. Bro, this is crazy. You can just raise money in America for being racist and for murdering people now. That's insane to me. Is this not like a skewed or bad incentive? Maybe, possibly.
Did you not see this for the fucking Shiloh Hendricks person? That was even worse.
Was she the N-word sayer? They called the 4-year-old black kid the N-word? It's like
$1 million.
Cha-ching! Or what was the crazy lady at like the fucking the Dunkin' Donuts or whatever? Didn't she make a few $100,000?
Yeah, the Cinnabon, right?
Or something. Oh my God, bro. You want to talk about restaurants that should be made illegal? Have you ever been to Cinnabon before?
I don't think so.
I never really easily destroy 3,000 calories worth of those Cinnabon things without even a second fucking thought. I could destroy 3,000 calories in that restaurant. Oh my God.
Oh, sorry. She's only raised $836,000.
Idiot.
I defended the woman who said the N-word against the kid. I said that was
why?
Free speech.
Wait, why would you do that?
It's free speech.
Knowles and Ben have delayed their daily shows. Shout out to Michael Knowles, one of the biggest pussies in the business, who wouldn't release his episode with me. That was a good, wholesome, based episode, but will share a platform with that degenerate scum fuck Matt Walsh. Oh my God. I saw this on Twitter earlier.
I'm going to show you how to take a... all 4 nights. I'm just standing here today with soup for my family. And we're just, watching all of this unfold. It's very unfortunate.
You're not planning on using that, are you? Throwing it at the police?
Like I said, it's for my family. Well, I did... Well, I've been here all 4 nights. I'm just standing here today with soup for my family. And we're just, watching all of this unfold. It's very unfortunate.
Is this real? Wait, was this really on CNN or is this like a edited thing or whatever?
You're not planning on using that, are you? Throwing it at the police?
Like I said, it's for my family. Well,
Wait, I need this in high def. I need this in 1080p. Give me the YouTube video. Wait, yeah, I saw that. You see the wink, right?
Been here all 4 nights. I'm just standing here today with soup for my family. And
did you see the... Oh my God. Did you see the brick they got thrown earlier?
Mm-mm. Who was throwing bricks?
Holy
I don't know anything
shit.
about that.
I'm surprised this guy survived. One sec.
You pro? Are you pro? Get back! Get back! Get back!
Oh! Oh! See the blood all over his hand? That was... Look at this. Look at the brick. Watch the brick. You see it? And it's crazy too, because these like protesters must be doing... Is it called shot put? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
How? Because he threw it so smoothly.
Throws it smoothly.
Also, new rule, okay? If the protest or riot has more media people or photographers than protesters, put your gun away, okay? Little bro, you're not scaring anybody. Well, I mean, you are scary. But like, there's like 12 media people here. and like one guy with a fucking sign. What are you doing?
Get back! Stay back!
Wait, have you ever had Tabor long snap at you? Oof. I feel like a little bitch. those balls,
hurt?
yeah, they move fast. Holy shit! I was like, that motherfucker almost killed me.
Get back!
Catch it?
Fuck no. RNA did though. But he was like a manly army man, so. Better resolution.
4 nights. I'm just standing here today with soup for my family, and
I don't know who this guy is, but I love him, okay?
watching all of this unfold is very unfortunate.
You're not planning on using that, are you? Throwing it at the police?
Like I said, it's for my family.
Literally for
Why did she ask him that? Why did she ask him to Fed post? The wink is honestly, it's just a legendary wink.
4 nights.
He's a
I'm
hero.
Standing here today with soup for my family.
That's just a legendary fucking line. I don't know why. That's just so king.
Do you think he could beat Piccolo in an aura farming tournament?
I don't know. He might be able to. Fuck Moot. I feel like the aura farming guy fell off a little bit.
He did, yeah.
I watched the one
of
that
his
you
recent
liked today
videos, yeah.
with the guy in the Death Note. It wasn't that good. They haven't been good for a while, Moot. I think the time has passed
I
on
know. I think he's done. But we give him a chance.
that. We did. 800K. Damn.
Okay, I've eaten my breakfast.
Did you see this? FBI supervisor resigns after trying to investigate agent who shot Renee Good. Yeah, I don't. The FBI is done. There's nothing left to be said for the FBI. Everything that I used to say about like, oh, there can't be conspiracies because that would require an ungodly amount of control from the top down, blah blah. They're doing it. They've done that. You knew this back when Kash Patel was reluctant to answer questions about. They went through the FBI and they fired every single person that was involved in the Mar-a-Lago stuff in investigating anything related to Trump.
Thank you, Chairman.
They did an FBI purge on this. It was actually crazy.
Presley, thank
This
you.
is months ago. The FBI is fucking cooked, and our DOJ is cooked. Everything related to the executive branch. I don't know what's going on with the intelligence agencies, but at the very least, the FBI and the DOJ are fucking cooked right now.
Chairman, for calling this hearing. I'm grateful we're continuing this committee's long tradition of oversight, and in particularly today, oversight of the FBI. Director Patel, thank you for being here. There's a number of issues I hope that we can speak to. I want to start by reading something you said to me during your confirmation hearing under oath. I have no interest, no desire, and will not, if confirmed, go backwards. There will be no politicization of the FBI. Then you looked me in the eyes and said there will be no retribution actions taken by the FBI should I be confirmed as director. I told you that in your office. I tell you that again today. I'm concerned that that's not what's happened, that since you took over as director, you've cleaned house or forced out senior leaders across the Bureau, in particular targeting those that worked on investigations of President Trump. The former acting director has just sued you for firing him for political reasons. So did a leader in the D.C. field office. And the well-respected leader of the Salt Lake City office was pushed out last month, leaving that office shorthanded at a particularly difficult time. I'm worried that these actions compromise the Bureau's ability to keep Americans safe. Hundreds of agents have resigned. You are lowering their law to address compliance. In May, police, partnering with the Dover Police Department to support human trafficking victims today. But I'm seeing an FBI leadership more focused on social media clout and on political revenge than on fighting crime. Director, have you ever ordered that an FBI employee be terminated because he or she worked on an investigation into President Trump?
That's an easy no. Even for all the political bullshit that goes on in here, that's a very easy no. We would never simply terminate somebody for being part of an investigation.
Senator, thank you. One quick correction for the record. There's 280 NV investigations. I gave the incorrect number to Senator Hawley. Thank you.
Understood.
As far as a lot of your statement, I disagree with it. I'm happy to address it. But
Why was this 4 months ago and we did not hear about it? I mean, we watched a little bit of it on the stream, but people just don't realize. The problem is that nobody knows how our government works. So when crazy, horrible, bad shit happens, people think that it's normal. Oh, it must be normal that all the FBI is rigged. And remember how I used to get so frustrated years ago when people would give a conspiracy, they don't understand sometimes the gravity of the things they're saying. It was one of the examples I would always give with relation to Israel. When somebody's like, do you think it's possible that an IDF sniper could just shoot and kill a civilian because he hates Palestinians? The answer to that question is yes, that is completely believable. It could super happen. The oversight on an individual shooter aiming and shooting and killing a Palestinian because he hates that, that's like your a priori belief on this can be quite high. Before even knowing anything, yeah, this could happen for sure. There's no reason to immediately think that like that's an impossible scenario. But then when somebody says, what do you think are the chances that some civilians were murdered because somebody hates them that have been under, intelligence, surveillance, recon, whether we've got like drone footage of them beforehand, the prior assumption on that is very, 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 very low. This is a top-down thing that involves sign-offs from multiple levels of people. You've got people weaponeering the attack. You've got people who are doing the intelligence, surveillance, and recon. You've got commanders that are signing off on it. You've got JAGs, lawyers, whatever. Like, the chance that they're just doing this just to kill a civilian, your prior assumption starts way lower. But when people think it's all the same shit, when the really bad stuff starts happening, nobody's prepared to even understand how bad it is because they think the really bad stuff's been going on the whole time, right? So when you talk about like an FBI conspiracy where everybody's working together to do something, this has never happened. It can't happen. It's the way that our intelligence agencies are structured. That is just not possible. Now, though, I'm not sure. I don't know anymore. Now I don't know because the structure, these institutions have been fundamentally hollowed out and changed.
The only way, generally speaking, an individual is terminated at the FBI is if they have violated their oath of office, violated the law, or failed to uphold the standards that we need them to have at the FBI.
So those who say that,
like, what the fuck is that answer?
that they've been fired because of working on investigations into President Trump are lying or misrepresenting?
Well, those matters are alleged in litigation, which is ongoing, so I can't comment on those specifically.
Could you comment on why you fired former acting FBI Director Driscoll?
I can't because it's ongoing litigation.
Could you say now definitively under oath that the rank and file agents who were assigned to work January 6 cases will not be terminated because that's what they were assigned to do?
I've said it before and I've said it again. Your case assignment, as I was given case assignments when I was a young prosecutor, does not dictate your career or your termination.
Thank you. Then let me go to the appropriations question. In May, you testified before the subcommittee on which I serve, defending the president's request that we slash the FBI's budget by about $500 million.
So yeah, the FBI, these places are cooked. So who the fuck knows? Oh, did you see this Kanye apology? Okay, that's fine. Putin's just fucking ignore me. This is where the original soup from my family comes from.
It's water. And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? Yes, sir. And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming.
That's my
no
queen.
Day for the rest of the government in the country.
I love that she's
Nazi
laughing.
Queen.
Ooh, nice. New lip fillers. I see we got a nice new pink lipstick. Okay, my porn clown is on screen. Let's go.
Good afternoon, Jackie. Thank you for that. Thanks for coming in on a snow day for the rest of the government in the country. And as much of the country feels the impacts of that winter storm, President Trump continues to monitor the situation closely, and he has remained in constant contact with FEMA and emergency responders. President Trump also quickly approved 12 federal emergency disaster declarations within 24 hours for the states of Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia, enabling these states to access critical federal resources to supplement their response efforts if needed. These declarations will help state-led efforts of turning power back on.
Is it Maryland is a super blue state, right? Were all of those states red except for one? Is that just like
You're thinking about Maine, but Maryland is blue too, yeah.
No, somebody said no blue states. There was though, Maryland. Is that the only blue state? Is that intentional, or I can't tell if I don't know.
Clearing roads for emergency services and keeping communities safe. The White House will continue to correspond directly with governors and local officials in the coming days, especially in those states that were harshly impacted by this storm. I would also like to address the chaotic scenes in Minnesota over the weekend. Nobody in the White House, including President Trump, wants to see people getting hurt or killed in America's streets. This includes Renee Good, Alex Preddy, the brave men and women of federal law enforcement, and the many Americans who have been victimized
now blame the liberals
at the hands
for radicalizing
of illegal
them.
alien criminals.
Blame the liberals.
Saturday's shooting remains under active investigation by Homeland Security Investigations and the FBI. The Customs and Border Protection is also conducting their own internal review. As President Trump said yesterday, the administration is reviewing everything with respect to the shooting, and we will let that investigation play out.
Everything's under
But let's
investigation.
be clear about the circumstances.
Well, I will say though, because I don't think. Oh, I'm trying to think of all the stuff I watched. I feel like they weren't as willing to say that Renee thing was investigating or was under investigation. But maybe...
I don't feel like they ever said that.
Yeah, maybe maybe I just didn't hear it. I feel like the most recent one, though, I think they realized is more fucked up. Maybe.
Which led to that moment on Saturday. This tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance
there we go, from
by
the
Democrat
liberals.
leaders
There
in
we
Minnesota.
go. There we go.
For weeks, Governor Walz and the Mayor
queen.
Jacob Fry and other elected Democrats were spreading lies
True.
about federal law enforcement officers who are risking their lives daily to remove the worst criminal illegal aliens from our streets.
Wait, real quick. Can somebody in chat give me, over the last 5 years, real quick, I'm just trying to get the numbers on this. How many ICE agents have been murdered in the commission of doing their job? Can somebody give me that stat real quick? Does anybody know what the numbers on that is?
I bet it's 0.
Because I have a number in mind.
I'm getting shot.
Well, stop shooting at them. And I'm thinking 0, but I hope it's not 0. Maybe there's been 1 or 2, right? A few, maybe?
What do you mean you hope it's not 0?
Because that would be pretty bad. There has to be, bro. There must have been somebody trolled by this room before, no? Or somebody comes in and they...
like this?
They lock them in?
It's 3rd floor. It's not this floor.
Oh. Okay, I'm leaving. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Rapists, pedophiles, human traffickers, and gang
Please,
members.
don't shoot me. Please, that hurt a lot.
Governor Walz and
I'm
Mayor
jumping
Fry
off.
have shamefully blocked local and state police from cooperating
Careful,
with
there's
ICE,
murderers up there.
actively inhibiting efforts to arrest violent criminals.
Just got shot
They have
again.
also used their platforms to encourage left-wing agitators to stalk, record, confront, and obstruct federal officers who are just trying to lawfully perform their duties, which has created dangerous situations threatening both these officers and the general public and Minnesotans alike. This is precisely what
Good job.
unfolded in Minneapolis on Saturday morning. Obstructing federal law enforcement.
They're dying from COVID, bro. Wait, what is that? Topics EOW. Honoring our fallen ICE officers. Are you dying?
No, I'm hiding.
Okay. I hear a lot of talkers up there. Oh, wait, this guy.
I'm gonna save him.
Hold on. Wait, don't let him get on fire. Careful.
We're
Don't
gonna
get
get you outta
don't be
here,
on fire. Don't be on
buddy.
fire. Do you have a thing?
A bandage, yeah.
Yeah. Stabilize him. Don't worry, I got us. I'm covering us.
I stabilized him.
Let's go, let's
You're
go.
stabilized. Let's get out of here, warrior.
Warrior, you fucking loser. We should kill him now. No, don't. We should have quizzed him.
Oh, true.
We should have quizzed him. Who did you vote for? What kind of American are you?
Oh, you didn't vote? All right, you're dead.
Enforcement and inciting violence against officers is wrong and illegal. This used to be a universally accepted position in the United States. Amid the hysteria, we must remember how we got here to this moment today and what this Democrat opposition is about. Former President Joe Biden and the Democrats opened America's borders for 4 years, inviting tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over the world to flood into our country. Among them, violent criminals who terrorized American communities and have inflicted devastating, permanent pain and harm on law-abiding Americans and their families. Yet we never saw outrage from Democrats or their allies in the liberal media over these...
Shut up, bitch. Sorry, I need to stop using these words. Honoring our fallen ICE officers. There are few more noble professions than service as a federal law enforcement officer. The officers and agents who protect our communities each and every day have devoted their lives to public service. They have sworn an oath, dedicating their lives, sometimes at the expense of their own, to ensure the safety of our nation and our communities. Even in the face of hostilities from those who reject our nation's rule of law and throughout evolving adversity, the brave men and women of this agency continue to demonstrate unwavering courage and devotion to our mission. Let's see. Sorry. Oh, God. All right. Let's just go through the first 12. Assistant Special Agent in Charge Joseph Joe Love died October 19, 2024 from complications of multiple myeloma. That's a cancer, I guess. He performed recovery work after the 9/11 terrorist attack in the World Trade Center and served the American public for 32 years. Okay, so cancer. Robert. Courageous battle with cancer, deemed to be a direct result of his brave execution of official duties in Ground Zero. Okay. Rachel. She contracted COVID-19 while performing her officially assigned duties. At the time of her death, do you think she was vaxxed? And she died of COVID-19 in 2022. Dog, it's COVID-19, not COVID 2022. COVID-22. Fuck. I fucked that up. Okay. Pete, what did you get? Oh, no, another COVID-19 death. Wait, how many of these guys were vaccinated? Okay, hold on. in 2022. When did Delta come? Wait, the vaccine was available at the middle or end of 2020, right? The first mRNA shots?
Of 2020? No.
No?
It would have been like end of 2020 to 2021, right?
When was Pfizer shot available? December 11th, 2020. Okay, so end of 2020, early 2021. How are these guys dying of COVID? That would have been like past Delta, no? Okay, whatever. Okay, so that was Pete. So we've got 2 cancer deaths, 2 COVID deaths. Brian, complications related to COVID. Okay. William, okay, complications related to COVID. David, COVID? Bro, what the fuck? Rosa, COVID?
Wait, hold on.
Wait,
COVID was
Bradley,
cooking.
COVID? Olivia, COVID? Wait, what the fuck? Roberto, COVID? Miguel, COVID? Wait. Hello? Can we talk about the real killer of ICE here? Wait, what the fuck? Ronald, what happened to you? COVID? James, something different. Okay, he died after fatal gunshot wound to the chest as a result of an accidental discharge of his service weapon.
So he killed himself.
Accidentally. Remember, guys, what do we say in the gun community? There are no ADs, only NDs. There are no accidents, only negligence, okay? Bradley, COVID. Lewis, cancer after 9/11. Danny, COVID. Juan, COVID. Ronald, COVID. Dennis, cancer. Timothy, dengue fever. Oh, he was in Indonesia. Okay. Why are we laughing at that?
There you go. It was something different at least.
Thomas, cancer from 9/11. Brian. I'm sorry. I can't read these.
Well, how did they die?
Dude, I can't.
Read it.
Deportation officer Brian P. Beliso suffered a heart attack while engaged in a foot pursuit of a fugitive. Scott. He died from injuries he sustained when struck by a vehicle while working in Miami, Florida 9 days earlier. McGuire and his partner were entering a taxi cab when an impaired driver hopped the curb and struck both agents. Okay, drunk driver. Robert. Oh, did we read this one? Cancer from 9/11. Edward. Cancer. Jamie. Jesus Christ. Oh, finally, like a thing-related thing. Special Agent. You say this is pronounced Jamie in English, right? Oh, this is 2011, too. Yeah. Oh, 2005. Oh, these are really far. Oh.
Oh, yeah, you're back into the
Yeah.
Stone Ages.
Also, ICE fallen officers, excuse me. ICE was created on, as part of the rearrangement of everything in the Department of Homeland Security, right? I don't think ICE existed before the DHS was formed after 9/11, no? 2003, yeah. So, I'm sorry. This is too. I'm sorry. I gotta tweet this. I gotta tweet this one. Hold on.
COVID's the #1 killer of ICE.
Unironically, like by far,
Yes.
it's COVID and
Yeah,
cancer.
no, it's not even
It's COVID and
close.
cancer.
Hello.
Hello.
Dan,
What's up, Dan?
Hey.
you're gonna be out of here soon.
Why?
Why?
Well, he's gonna be scared about what you're talking about.
COVID
I was
and
gonna
cancer?
I was going to say, Steve, I think before you tweet, you should see if there's not a single actual death
There
that's
wasn't.
related. Well, did you go through all of them or just half? Because if you go through all of them and verify it, that's something that people can go
Well, I
with.
don't
But
have
if you
to.
just-
There's one, I think, but all these ones prior to 2003 aren't ICE. ICE was formed in 2003. So we went through all of them up to this guy here. Right? I think we did, right? This was the only guy in 2011 that looked like he got killed on some real shit, like some Sicaro shit or whatever. Or Sicaro? I don't know how to pronounce the name.
What are the dudes before 2003 then?
Probably just standard CBP, Customs and Border Patrol or something, or whatever.
I mean, you might be able to go through those and find that none of those have it either. Then you can say it's even more of a banger. It's like, I went through every death related to
those
ICE.
people don't matter.
Yeah, they don't
even
matter.
the false ones that the government attributes to ICE, which is not ICE, and there was 2 deaths total. Like, that's like a more banger thing. Otherwise, you're giving them air to breathe and, you know, kind of shit on your thing. You know?
That's okay.
Okay.
It's a word that is pronounced in the film itself. I don't, I never watched that film.
Sicario.
I don't like watching male-on-male rape scenes, okay? I don't approve.
Of men, or?
Rape is a plot device.
I think you could probably make a more banger tweet if you knew that, like...
No, it doesn't matter. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to go through 100 extra names for that. It doesn't matter. This is prior to the formation of ICE.
You go take the tweet. Go.
Well, it's not my thing. It's your thing. It's just advice.
Fuck, Richard already made this tweet too. God damn it.
Oh, well, then you're cooked.
Fuck this guy. Fuck Richard.
Who's Richard?
Hanania? Who's Richard asked? You almost got me there.
I don't know who that is.
God, if I died of a heart attack while chasing a criminal, I would never want... Just say, like, died in the line of duty. Fuck me, dude.
Yeah, they did that guy dirty. Big time.
So what happened to the one dude who got killed?
Which one?
The actual guy who got killed?
Oh, I don't know. That story
Sicario
looked
shit?
crazy, though. It looked like... He said that he was like... hold on. They were driving between Monterrey and Mexico City, February 15, 2011, when gunmen stopped their car and opened fire on both agents. Zapata was fatally shot, or Zapata Avila was seriously wounded in the attack, but recovered from his injuries. It sounds like they got stopped and like basically just lit the fuck up by some
while they were on the job,
assassins.
Or just like unrelated?
I'm guessing it was because of their job. I don't know if while they were on the job, but they were doing. He served on the Human Smuggling and Trafficking Unit as well as the Border Enforcement Security Task Force. And then he volunteered for a detail assignment in Mexico City to assist with narcotics investigations. My guess is it was on some serious shit. I don't know if you're mixing it up with Incendiaries, but it's an American film with no rape scenes. In Sicario, when he's interrogating that dude, I think he fucking rapes a guy.
Oh, there's a Wikipedia page on this guy.
Yeah? I feel like I've heard the name before. I don't know why. I don't know if there's like a movie or...
He was an ICE agent who was ambushed and murdered by the Mexican criminal group Los Zetas in Mexico. He was one of 2 agents who were ambushed in a part of the country that was increasingly under the influence of drug violence. Zapata's death was the second high-profile killing of a U.S. agent in Mexico. The first one, Enrique Camarena, was a undercover DEA agent. And actually, wasn't that the guy that was in the Escobar series? I remember this name.
Maybe.
I do. Yeah. Who was tortured and murdered by the Guadalajara cartel.
How do you feel about the sexual violence in Daniel Craig's Casino Royale? I don't know. That was kind of weird. I don't know what the point of that was. Just to be edgy, or... What do you think about the cock and ball torture from Casino Royale?
Torture my cock, you must.
Okay.
I don't really remember it.
Oh, because you were like 2 when that movie came out, probably, huh?
Probably, yeah.
Oh no. Don't do it. I love you too much. Heart. Connor asked to fight about this.
He would lose.
We're not going to do it.
No, he should join.
No.
I'm ready.
The Connor bridge is precious.
Well, you think he can't argue with you without blowing up your relationship?
Well,
Conservatives usually can, Dan.
no, Connor can. Connor's been a real ninja. But I just think, my audience is going to go crazy. Some things are just better left undebated, you know? Pick your fights.
Isn't that good for him, though?
What, if my audience hates him?
I mean, they'd watch him, right?
Some of them watch him. I think, sometimes. He's like an early streamer. Oh no, because you guys are early streaming now, so.
I mean, you can't complain that you don't have any good debaters on the other side if you don't let him in here. Maybe he has a compelling point that's difficult for you to argue
True,
against.
maybe he'll convince us.
True. Wait, are you in a ladder yet? Queen.
Horrifying crimes against U.S. citizens. The pain of American angel families was ignored and dismissed because it undermined the Democrat narrative. Innocent Americans like Jocelyn Nungray, Laken Riley, and Rachel Morin are just a few of the many victims savagely murdered by illegal alien criminals. Earlier this month, an illegal alien from Mexico with a long criminal history who came into our
Illuminator, gifting 5 subs in Kick Chat. Thank you, buddy.
Country under Joe Biden's administration threw a baseball-sized stone at a school bus.
Put on my Nazi queen. Lauren
True.
Southern,
Earlier
I'm done
this
with you.
month-
Karoline Leavitt,
True.
that's who I'm talking about.
The next generation, Sarah Stock. Let's go. Get him. Never mind.
An illegal alien from Mexico with a long criminal history who came into our country under Joe Biden's administration threw a baseball-sized stone at a school bus carrying children in New Jersey and fractured the skull of an 8-year-old innocent child.
Why though? He just threw a baseball-sized stone at a school. That's like, okay.
President Trump promised accountability to these American families by securing the border, deporting
You can jump on friendly grenades and use it as a zip plane. I don't know what that means. Oh, I did read on the ARC subreddit that one way that people, because this guy got really mad, I would get super ass pain, but it is funny. That one way he gets trolled by, if you queue into like autofills, is 2 people they'll queue for 3s and they'll have 2 of them. And what they'll do is one guy will throw showstoppers at you and then the other guy will throw flame nades to kill you. And they'll do it before extraction so you die and then they take all your shit.
That's criminal.
President Trump promised accountability to these American families by securing the border, deporting every illegal alien who has committed crimes, especially and most importantly, violent crimes. Nearly 80 million Americans voted for him to deliver on that very promise, and he is. As the duly elected president, the president is fulfilling the will of the people by arresting and removing these threats from our country in cities from Los Angeles to New York and, yes, Minneapolis. Yet Democrat leaders in Minnesota with sanctuary city policies have actively defied federal immigration law and the will of the people. And as a result of that defiance, 2 Minnesotans have now tragically lost their lives on the street.
I don't know how old everybody is or how much rhetoric you guys remember, but my God, if you were watching this stream or if you were watching anything, how many times did you hear that we live in a constitutional republic? We don't live in a democracy. They hated the popular vote. They hated how many Democrats around the country would vote for president and everything else. But the second Trump won the popular vote, whoo, that public mandate, the people voted for this. This is the people's choice. The people voted. We live in a democracy. Oh my God.
Of Tim Walz's state. It is President Trump's hope and wish and demand for the resistance and chaos to end today. That's why President Trump spoke with Governor Walz directly this morning, and he has outlined a clear and simple path to restoring law and order in Minnesota. Number 1, Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, and all Democrat leaders should turn over all criminal illegal aliens currently incarcerated in their prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with any illegal aliens with active warrants or known criminal histories for immediate deportation. Number 2, state and local law enforcement must agree to turn over all illegal aliens who are arrested by local police. And then thirdly, local police must assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes, especially violent crimes. If Governor Walz and Mayor Fry implement these common sense cooperative measures, violent crimes. If Governor Walz and Mayor Fry implement these common sense cooperative measures that I will add have already been implemented in nearly every single other state across the country, Customs and Border Patrol will not be needed to support ICE.
Okay. We're in friendly queues. We're just looting.
Yep.
I'm going to start rolling with my Aphelion until somebody kills me for it, okay? To clean my bank.
Aphelion?
Yeah, because I have 2 of them, so fuck it.
On the ground in Minnesota. ICE and local law enforcement can peacefully work together, as they are effectively doing in so many other states and jurisdictions. Additionally, President Trump is calling on the United States Congress to immediately pass legislation ending sanctuary cities once and for all. American cities should be safe sanctuaries for law-abiding citizens only, not for dangerous illegal alien criminals who broke our nation's laws and do not belong here. We hope Governor Walz will do the right thing and continue to work with President Trump to keep the American people safe following their call this morning. Americans overwhelmingly want exactly what President Trump is delivering: strong borders and strict immigration enforcement against the worst illegal aliens, of which there are still hundreds of thousands to deport from the interior of our country. The most peaceful way to carry out this vital public safety mission is for Republicans and Democrats to do it together, and for state and local law enforcement to work together with federal law enforcement. We want to let cops be cops. You wouldn't know this continues to be a very popular policy position from the biased media coverage over the course of the last few days. But polling shows huge support for this exact thing President Trump is calling for. More than 80% of Americans favor deporting illegal aliens convicted of violent crimes. A country unable to deport criminals who enter it illegally is no country at all.
They probably support that, but not the way it's being fucking done.
Yeah, like you've lost, like, I'm sorry, but like alligator Alcatraz, like you've lost any kind of moral high ground there. Like you're making it a show. You can't delight in people's misery. You can't look cruel. And I mean, like they did, like Jesus Christ.
Agenda of Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and the Democrats was already on the ballot on November 5th, 2024, and it was resoundingly rejected. President Trump will never back down from his promise to deport violent criminal illegal aliens and make America safe again, and he welcomes all cooperation.
I look forward, since they don't use Congress at all for anything because they're incompetent as fuck and they don't give a fuck, I look forward to after midterms, if they lose, for them to just constantly say, that might be midterms, but America voted for Trump as its president. They voted for Trump as the president. It doesn't matter what the midterms voted for. They voted for, I just gave them the new talking about 100%. Somebody just heard that, like, oh, that's a good one. We're going to use that.
Write that down, write
in
that
that
down.
effort. With that, I will answer your questions. And Jordan Conradson, why don't you kick us off today? Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Caroline, Jordan Conradson with Gateway Fund. I have a few questions. First, with respect to the shooting in Minneapolis, we're seeing massive outrage from mainstream media on the left, but I'm just wondering, where was that outrage when Ashley Babbitt, an Air Force veteran, was executed by Capitol Police officers?
Oh, it's the Dick Suck police today, or the Dick Suck journalists today. Every now and then they have in the Dick Sucks.
They bring them in.
They bring in the Dick Sucks, yeah.
Michael Byrd, who she posed no threat to in the U.S. Capitol.
Well, you raise a very important point, which I also believe that I just raised as well in those opening remarks, in that there has no doubt been selective outrage by the liberal biased media and picking and choosing victims and highlighting their stories. And as I've said, President Trump does not want any Americans to lose their lives in the streets of America and in American communities across the country. He believes what happened on Saturday is a tragedy, but every life is equal to President Trump, and that's why the lives of Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungray continue to matter to him and be of utmost priority to him to this very day. And it's unfortunate that we did not see the same type of sensationalist media coverage over the tragic deaths of those innocent American women and girls across the country as we are in the wake of this tragedy that took place on Saturday. Gabe. Sure, go ahead.
I want to get your response to this. The Arizona Attorney General, just days before this shooting in Minneapolis, she seemingly encouraged rioters.
Wait, what happened?
They just got killed by some losers. They just immediately started shooting.
Did they? Oh, damn. Are we on night raid or is it just a normal queue?
Just normal.
That's fucked up, bro.
That's not good.
Damn, that hatch is so far away. It's not. Fuck, should I try to run to that or should I just recall here?
I think recalling there's fine. They were busy looting.
You sure?
Yeah.
Keys might be messed up because of the snow day. What does that mean?
It's true. All the fucking children are home.
Oh shit, do we need crosslight off?
It's already off.
Damn.
To go out, shoot, and kill ICE agents. And I'll quote her here. She said, if you
Also, you can buy, guys, there are directional, there's a really nice, is it Shure or Sennheiser? I don't remember. There are really nice shotgun mics that are just like standard for use indoors. Buy some shotgun mics and then just have one and point them at the fucking journalists. I don't know why it's so hard to do audio in the White House press briefing room.
reasonably believe your life's in danger and you're in the house or in your car or on your property, you can defend yourself with lethal force. And she said,
who is this? Is this a fucking YouTuber? Who is this guy? Do you know?
Never seen him before.
Okay.
That you can't tell if ICE agents are law enforcement or imposters, and it becomes an issue of whether you reasonably believe they were law enforcement. Do you have a response to that, and does the White House believe that she should be held accountable?
He works for the Gateway Pundit.
Such dangerous rhetoric, as I pointed out, is exactly what has brought us to this position today, where you have elected Democrat officials across the country who are encouraging left-wing agitators and crazy people to go out and unlawfully obstruct lawful immigration enforcement. Again, these brave men and women of ICE and Border Patrol and the federal enforcement are just trying to do their jobs to enforce our nation's immigration immigration laws and to go after the worst of the worst in this country. I would encourage everyone in this room, and I would encourage the Arizona Attorney General to look at the video of an ICE agent in Minneapolis. He was approached by left-wing agitators who were honking their horns and were screaming slurs at him, and he rolled down his window and he said, "What are you doing? I am out here trying to catch a child predator, somebody who has convicted crimes against an innocent child, and you are trying to obstruct me from doing my job." This rhetoric against ICE, comparing them to Nazi Gestapo, Donald Trump's police force, is despicable, it is shameful, and it is precisely what has led to the escalation of tensions in Minneapolis and in other places across the country. Gabe, go ahead.
For justifying violence.
I would refer you to the Department of Justice on that.
Thank you, Karoline. Regarding Minnesota, on Saturday, the Department of Homeland Security posted that Preddy looks like he wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. Stephen Miller on Saturday posted that, called Preddy a would-be assassin. Why did administration officials jump to conclusions before an investigation had even been conducted?
Well, look, this has obviously been a very fluid and fast-moving situation throughout the weekend. As for President Trump, whom I speak for, he has said that he wants to let the investigation continue and let the facts lead in this case.
With regards to the deployment of Tom Homan to Minneapolis, should the deployment of Mr. Homan to Minneapolis be seen as a sign that the president is dissatisfied with how the officials on the ground had handled the incident?
No, Mr. Homan is doing an exceptional job, and he has been working with Secretary Noem and President Trump over the course of the last year. Secretary Noem still has the utmost...
Don't let me forget this. It's on my schedule now. I have a 7 p.m. panel tonight with Brad Palumbo, with somebody else about the shooting, so good luck.
confidence and trust of the President of the United States, and she's continuing to oversee the entire Department of Homeland Security and all of the immigration enforcement that's taking place across the whole entire country. Of course, Secretary Noem is also in charge of FEMA, and we are in the wake of a brutal winter storm where hundreds of thousands of Americans have been impacted by that. So Borders-Czar Homan is in a unique position to drop everything and go to Minnesota to continue having these productive conversations with state and local officials, and I know that he's catching a plane in just a few hours to do just that at the request of the President. Jennifer.
On Saturday's shooting, has the President been briefed, and have you been briefed on specific details of the shooting? How many shots were fired? How many guns discharged? And I mean, did the protesters' gun go off, or only the officers' guns? Do you have any of those details?
Again, the investigation is continuing, Jennifer, and we will let the facts lead and we will let the facts play out in this investigation. I do know that HSI and FBI are conducting interviews with those that were involved and the agents who were involved in this unfortunate tragedy on Saturday.
Are they keeping the President up to date on all those details?
The President is obviously very much on the ball with respect to this investigation. I think he's made that quite clear with the various statements that you've seen him put out, and also the 4 points that the President has outlined as well to Governor Walz, and to encourage him to cooperate with ICE and with the administration. Mary.
Thanks, Karoline. To follow on Gabe's question, Secretary Noem said Alex Preddy committed an act of domestic terrorism. Stephen Miller labeled Preddy a domestic terrorist. Does the President agree with them?
Look, as I've said, I have not heard the President characterize Mr. Preddy in that way.
I want to die.
However, I have heard the President say he wants to let the facts and the investigation lead itself.
Was he alarmed to hear his top officials referring to him in that way, rushing to that judgment?
Danny, go ahead.
Thanks, Karoline. On Stephen Miller's comments, will Stephen Miller be apologising to the family of Alex Preddy for calling him, quote, an assassin who tried to murder federal agents, despite the fact that, as you say, this is still under investigation?
Look, again, this incident remains under investigation.
No answer.
And
no
nobody
answer.
here at the White House,
Under
including
investigation.
the President of the United States, wants to see Americans hurt or killed and losing their lives in American streets. And we mourn for the parents.
Can we just
As a
ask
mother
the same
myself,
question
of course, I
over and
cannot
over again
imagine,
until she fucking
the loss of
answers
life,
that, maybe?
especially losing one's child. And that same empathy from the President goes for the parents of angel families, parents of victims of illegal alien crime across our country as well. And that's exactly why the President continues to be wholeheartedly committed to deporting the worst of the worst criminals from our country. Why don't we go to the back? Kelly.
Does the President believe that the killing, though, was a mistake? Has he expressed that at all?
Again, the President has
Under
said,
investigation.
we have to review it, and this investigation needs to continue, and he's letting the facts on the investigation lead itself.
Oh, okay.
Body camera footage to be released to the public? Now,
that's not something I've heard the President commit to, so I won't do that from the podium.
Okay.
Sure.
Kelly, how serious is the administration taking allegations that local and state officials in Minnesota are actively coordinating with demonstrators?
We couldn't even get the Epstein files moved.
Non-encrypted communications, as well as providing government resources to impede immigration enforcement operations?
I'm sorry, Carrie, could you repeat your question?
How serious is the administration taking allegations that local and state Minnesota officials are communicating with demonstrators to basically impede immigration officials?
Well, we've definitely seen active organization amongst these left-wing groups, Carrie, and it is something that I know the FBI and the Department of Justice are looking into. Again, it is illegal to unlawfully obstruct lawful immigration enforcement.
It's illegal to do something that's unlawful? Oh, thank you.
It's nearly impossible for ICE to do their jobs and for federal law enforcement to carry out the will of the American people to deport the worst of the worst. I would just...
Hold on.
Hey, Raider! Hey,
Come in, friendly. They're friendly. They're so friendly.
Did you knock? What's up? Yeah. You need me? I got me right there.
Hold on. There's security cameras in there. Be careful. I'm friendly. I'm so friendly.
Where are we going?
I don't know. Where the fuck do we get to this fucking hatch?
I'm just gonna fucking go seed vault.
Go seed vault then, loser. Oh, down here.
Encourage everyone to please imagine in this room, all of you come to the White House every day to report on the President of the United States and the administration. You come into this briefing room, you walk through the gates of the White House. Just imagine if there were left-wing agitators or agitators of any kind who were in your face, who were doxing you, who were harassing you, who were physically threatening you, who were biting off your fingers in the case of two Border Patrol agents we saw this past weekend in Minneapolis. That would make it very difficult for you to show up and do your job here at the White House every single day. That's what these officers in Minneapolis are facing. That's why the President is calling on Governor Walz and Mayor Frey for these three very simple and common sense points of cooperation so that ICE and local law enforcement can work together. Again, we are just asking for police to be police.
Do you want me to wait for you, or should I just
any
wait
law enforcement agent or official, they want to be able to work with their federal counterparts at the state and local level and vice versa.
Caroline. Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions. One is looking forward. The role of Mr. Homan. Is he being sent by the President to diffuse the situation that exists right now on the ground? Is he the point person essentially for the White House in terms of trying to tamp down the tensions that exist right now in Minnesota?
Well, Mr. Homan is the point person for cooperating with state and local authorities and corresponding with them, again, to achieve this level of cooperation to subdue the chaos on the streets of Minneapolis. And I would just point out that Mr. Homan is someone who has been lauded for many, many decades for his experience working in law enforcement. In fact,
Why/how do you watch this every day? This is rage-inducing slop because you guys want it. Because you make me. You force me.
This is a Washington Post headline from 9 years ago, 2016. Meet the man the White House has honored for deporting illegal immigrants. And I would remind everyone in this room that it was former President Barack Hussein Obama who awarded a medal to Mr. Homan. So he's obviously very qualified. He has the full trust and faith of the President. He will continue to have these meetings in the hopes that ICE and local law enforcement can cooperate and work together to have successful immigration enforcement, as we've seen in almost every other state across the country.
And secondly, Caroline, can you talk a little bit about tomorrow's trip by the President to Iowa, what the purpose of that trip is, what the goals of that trip are?
Sure, yes. Tomorrow, President Trump will be traveling to Des Moines, Iowa. He will be making a local visit at a local business, and then he will be getting a speech on affordability and on the economy, and I know he very much looks forward to...
Actually, while all of you are here, this will determine if I keep doing politics. Fuck you. I'm going to tweet at YouTube support and make him respond to my application. If I don't get at least 5,000 likes, we're arcing forever. Fuck all of you.
Being there, to meeting with the great people of Iowa, but also lawmakers as well. Jake.
Caroline, a couple quick questions. First, does the President remain fully confident in Kristi Noem's ability to lead the DHS?
Yes.
And then just secondly, just on that Wall Street Journal reporting that we saw yesterday, the President said at some point that the immigration enforcement officers would leave Minneapolis. Did the Saturday killing of Alex Pretty expedite that withdrawal at all?
To your first question, the answer is yes. He still has confidence and trust in Secretary Noem. To the second question, I would point you back to what I said earlier. If Governor Walz and Mayor Frey implement these common sense cooperative measures, CBP will no longer be needed to support ICE on the ground in Minnesota. ICE and local law enforcement will peacefully work together, as they are effectively doing in so many other states and jurisdictions, to remove violent criminals from American neighborhoods across the country.
Did Walz ask for the President to remove the immigration enforcement officers?
He asked the President to scale down, and the President reiterated what the President put out in his statement yesterday and what I'm sharing with all of you as well. I would just add on this level of cooperation a few statistics that I think are very important. 7 of the top 10 safest cities in the United States cooperate with ICE. And we've seen historic turnaround in safety in cities that have chosen to cooperate with ICE, that are not just led by Republicans, but also look right here in Washington, D.C. We had a great level of cooperation with Mayor Bowser in the local government, and we have been able to remove thousands of illegal aliens from the District of Columbia, where you all live, so you can thank President Trump for that. The murder rate in Washington, D.C. has plummeted as a result. There were no riots, there were no protests, nobody was tragically killed as a result of that level of cooperation between federal and local authorities. And again, that's all the President is asking for in Minnesota. It's totally common sense. Jared, go ahead.
Thank you. Caroline, in this process, you continue to describe the situation in Minneapolis as chaos. Was there any mistake made by Secretary Noem that led the President to send Mr. Homan there?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Did Secretary Noem make a mistake? Common sense. Jared, go ahead.
Thank you. Caroline, in this process, you continue to describe the situation in Minneapolis as chaos. Was there any mistake made by Secretary Noem that led the President to send Mr. Homan there?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. Did Secretary Noem make a mistake which led to...
She made any mistake that could lead the president to send Mr. Homan to Minneapolis?
No, as I already mentioned, Mr. Homan has been working alongside Secretary Noem and for the president over the course of the last year. And again, he's uniquely positioned to hop on a flight to Minnesota today to continue this correspondence with state and local authorities, and that's what he's going to be doing. Fran.
Karoline, is it the White House's position that Americans have the right to show up to these ICE operations and film, document, or protest the law enforcement actions?
All Americans have a First Amendment constitutional right, of course, but Americans do not have a constitutional right to impede and obstruct lawful immigration enforcement operations. That is actually a crime, and it's something that we've seen taking place in the streets of Minneapolis, which again is leading to these dangerous circumstances that these federal law enforcement officers have been forced to work within.
Back to the call with Governor Walz this morning. The president described it as respectful. He said, we seem to be on a similar wavelength, but you had strong criticism for the governor and the Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Frey, just now. So could you explain the difference in tone between what the president had said in his Truth Social post and I think some of the criticisms that you just levied from the podium?
Fran, I think the criticisms that I laid out, I'm painting the picture for all of you in this room, are what led to the moment that we are in today, where...
Thoughts on this? Is there any leverage in shutting down the government? I think the government should be shut down until ICE is gone from Minnesota. I feel like that has to... I don't understand anything beyond that. What did this fucking retard Fetterman tweet out? Miss Good and Mr. Is it Preddy? Should still be alive.
Preddy, I think.
My family grieves for theirs. The operations in Minneapolis should stand down and immediately end. That's good. It has become an ungovernable and dangerous urban theater for civilians and law enforcement that is incompatible with the American spirit. That's a little bit silly. As a very pro-immigration Democrat and ranking member of the Subcommittee on Border Management, I believe our nation deserves a secured border and that we should deport all criminal migrants. Deport all criminal migrants? You mean like illegal immigrant? Why would you deport somebody just for committing a crime? Okay, that is whatever. I also believe there needs to be a path to citizenship for those hardworking families who are here. I've also spent significant time hearing many different positions on the funding bill and maintain that I will never vote to shut our government down, especially our Defense Department. Additionally, a vote to shut our government down will not defund ICE. DHS has $178 billion in funding from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which I did not vote for. I reject the calls to defund or abolish ICE. I strongly disagree with many strategies and practices ICE deployed in Minneapolis, and I believe that must change. I want a conversation on the DHS appropriations bill. Support stripping it from the minibus. It is unlikely that will happen, and our country will suffer another shutdown. We must find a way forward, and I remain committed to being a voice of reason and common sense. Wow, good job, John Fetterman.
Governor Walz and President Trump are having a conversation, a constructive and productive conversation to end the chaos and the lawlessness that has taken place in Governor Walz's state. Elena.
Thank you. I had a question. With Homan now going to Minnesota, is Gregory Bovino also going to remain in Minnesota overseeing?
Okay. I'm looking at our things. For harvest plants,
there's nothing really to do.
Is Buried City the best one where you pick all the things in that one place, or is there a better total plants thing?
I would say the dam.
Do you think dam has more plants altogether if you run around outside?
Would be my guess, yeah.
I'm also seeing Night Raid Spaceport. Do you think that's...
Buried City does have lush bloom, but it's not a 2X event.
Oh, shit. I wonder if that's worth it. It might be one of the only times where... Spaceport by far? Okay. We should try to do one of these today. Figure out which one you want to do.
Which one do you want to do?
Maybe. Or yeah, I'm listening to this.
Mr. Bovino is a wonderful man, and he's a great professional. He is going to very much continue to lead Customs and Border Patrol throughout and across the country. Mr. Homan will be the main point of contact on the ground in Minneapolis.
And to follow up, given what we've heard from several Trump administration officials, people like Stephen Miller, as people point out, calling him a domestic terrorist, Bovino saying that Freddie was out to massacre law enforcement.
I'd say we do damage Rocketeers, Leapers, or Bastions on Spaceport.
Is there a 40-minute one of that coming up?
Oh, fuck, that's true.
Yeah, we have to. That has to be on the...
40. Never mind. That's
ICE agents to wear body cameras to clear up some of the disputes that we are hearing from witnesses and video footage versus what the administration has been saying.
Well, that's a policy question that I know the policy folks in the building are having with members on Capitol Hill, and I'll leave it to them and the president to make that decision.
And my final question is on, you were talking about the level of cooperation that the president talked about with Governor Walz. Will the administration commit to cooperating with local officials on this investigation into Alex Freddie?
The president spoke about this with Governor Walz and said he would have a discussion about it. He did not make a commitment, and so therefore I won't make that commitment here. I would just remind all of you in the media, because I've seen a lack of reporting on this fact, there are investigations into what took place on Saturday. The Homeland Security investigations and the FBI have teamed up for an investigation, and there's also an internal CBP investigation, an internal review of what is happening on the ground in Minnesota. The president supports those investigations, and as I've said repeatedly, he wants to see them move forward. Phil.
FBI Director Kash Patel said in a Sunday interview, quote, "You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest." Does the president believe the Second Amendment rights remain in effect even when protesting?
The president supports the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding American citizens, absolutely. There has been no greater supporter or defender of the right to bear arms than President Donald J. Trump. So while Americans have a constitutional right to bear arms, Americans do not have a constitutional right to impede lawful immigration enforcement operations. And any gun owner knows that when you are carrying a weapon, when you are bearing arms, and you are confronted by law enforcement, you are raising the assumption of risk and the risk of force being used against you. And again, that's unfortunately what took place on Saturday.
Will his mission continue to be focusing on illegal immigrants with a criminal history, or will it be on illegal
Thank
immigration?
you, Aristotle.
Mr. Holman
Wait, where
will
does this come from,
continue to
Aristotle?
enforce our nation's immigration laws, especially deporting the worst of the worst criminals in Minnesota
Not
who
the
have
worst of
committed
the
violent
worst.
offenses. And I would just remind all of you that this important work is continuing to be carried out. In just the last few days, I'm happy to
Oh.
provide this packet to anyone in the room. ICE has arrested
More printed out pictures.
multiple violent criminals, illegal aliens within Minnesota. Many of them have convictions for assault, driving under the influence, fraud. This individual here I'm looking at was an aggravated felon with multiple convictions for larceny, fraud, and forgery of checks, vehicle theft, drug possession, domestic assault, inflicting bodily harm on another, criminal convictions of larceny, identity theft, again, charged with driving under the influence. These are extremely dangerous people who Governor Walz and Mayor
Wow.
Frey have allowed to roam on their streets, and all the president is asking for is cooperation to arrest individuals like this and deport them from the United States of America. I'll take a couple more. Go ahead.
Okay, so this weekend the president posted that this is a cover-up of the fraud in the state of Minnesota. He also posted Minnesota is a cover-up. These both happened after the shooting. So given that these came after the shooting, what is the this here? What is the cover-up he's alleging?
Yes, it's a good question. I've spoken with the president about this at length. What the president is referring to is the fact that you have Governor Walz and, again, the mayor,
I don't
who
see any
have
good ones until 8
been
o'clock,
encouraging
so
these left-wing
I'll be
agitators to
back
come
later
out
and we'll do that
and
one,
to
yeah.
harass and to
I'm gonna
dox
watch
and
a
to
movie.
threaten
Be
ICE
careful.
and to make this conversation about and smear lies about federal law enforcement who, again, are just trying to do their jobs in an attempt to distract from the widespread massive fraud that has taken place in their state. Billions and billions of dollars has been stolen from law-abiding taxpayers in Minnesota, and the administration continues to be very focused on getting to the bottom of it, and especially, and the president raised a good question over the weekend, with respect to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who now has a net worth within the millions, and one must ask themselves why and how is that possible?
Where is this information even coming from? Like, how do we even know this? Is this like publicly declared investments, or also like what is this like? How dare you? How many billions of dollars potentially has the Trump family increased their net worth by? Why are you bringing up Ilhan Omar being worth millions? It's her husband. She married a rich guy. Oh.
Is she connected to the fraud rings that we have seen taking place within her state and
Oh my God! Really?
her own district? It's a question the American people are raising, and the president believes it's one worth answering. Haley.
Thanks, Karoline. I want to go back to some of the comments from Stephen Miller and Secretary Hill. You made clear the president wants to see the investigation play out when answering some of the questions on the specific details. Is he concerned that some of those definitive statements made by other officials risks public perception of the credibility of those investigations now playing out?
Again, the president believes that these investigations are credible, they are continuing, they are active, and he wants to let them play out. Alex.
Karoline, is the administration willing to separate DHS funding from other funding bills in order to avoid a broader shutdown?
Look, at this point, the White House supports the bipartisan work that was done to advance the bipartisan appropriations package, and we want to see that passed. Policy discussions on immigration in Minnesota are happening. Look, the president is leading those discussions, as evidenced by his correspondence with Governor Walz this morning, but that should not be at the expense of government funding for the American people, which would include, as you know, Alex, FEMA funding, and we are in the midst of the storm that took place over the weekend, and many Americans are still being impacted by that. So we absolutely do not want to see that funding lapse, and we want the Senate to move forward with passing the bipartisan appropriations package that was negotiated on a bipartisan basis.
Secondly, there's another round of Russia-Ukraine talks this weekend, Sunday. If you can walk us through what the president, how he'll be involved in that, if at all. We'll be talking to President Putin, President Zelensky ahead of those meetings.
I'm not tracking any scheduled calls at this point in time. However, the president remains deeply involved, and of course he's being apprised by his advisors, namely Jared Kushner and Special Envoy Witkoff, on these talks. They had a multilateral meeting this past weekend, which didn't get a ton of coverage, but that was historic in nature, where the president's team has really brought two sides of this war to the table together to move the ball closer towards peace. So the president is not giving up on the peace process. He obviously just met with President Zelensky when we were in Davos, Switzerland, but I'm not tracking any calls scheduled for this week. On one more foreign policy point, I will point out, as you all saw, the last remaining body of the hostages, Israeli hostages in Gaza, has been returned. This is a huge foreign policy feat for the President of the United States, for the State of Israel, and frankly for the whole world. The President made the impossible possible, and so it's great news for the President, for the United States, for our allies, and also for peace in the Middle East. And I understand that more than 20 new additional countries have also signed up to join the newly established Board of Peace with respect to the rebuilding of Gaza, which is another historic accomplishment for this president.
Wow.
So thank you all very much, and we'll see you in Iowa tomorrow.
To an edgy song. No, I wasn't aware we'd booked you, as I was in hospital with a broken hip, and when I heard, I decided I have endured enough pain recently without adding your juvenile, Hitler-celebrating bullshit to stuff I need meds for. Oh no, he broke his hip. What happened?
Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
Did you hear her in that, like earlier in that conference say that they were gonna, like, that Trump was trying to ask Congress to pass a piece of legislation to get rid of sanctuary cities?
Oh, no, I didn't, but...
You think, when they say, like, obviously, like, that's not a fucking legislation issue, it's a 10th Amendment issue. You think when they say stuff like that, like, do you think the sole, like, an exclusive purpose of saying that is just to, like, mindfuck retarded MAGA people?
I don't know. It's hard to imagine sometimes. Once it's filtered down to Karoline Leavitt, it's things that Trump has thought and then other people have had their there must be like some like legislation that I'm just like, that's like normal stuff that just passed. Has anything come out besides that one big beautiful bill? There must be something, right?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard of anything. Like, obviously, yeah, we had the one big beautiful bill.
Oh, I guess
yeah, you're probably correct in that. Yes, there's got to be some tiny shit going through, right? Surely.
It's just, yeah, I feel like, man, if I was a Congress right now, imagine having so many parts of government and you just don't use any of it at all.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, like when you always say like Congress is entirely just impotent at this point, like, yeah, they do nothing. They mean nothing.
The Republicans, have decided that they're okay having Trump run everything out of the White House. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes like I'll hear them say stuff that is like so ungodly, legally impermissible. Now, like we both know they don't care, but they'll say like stuff like that. Like, we're gonna, pass some legislation to make sanctuary cities not allowed. I'm just like surely at some point along the chain, a lawyer has like heard you, float this idea, but like, yeah, you can't do that, retard.
Yeah. I mean, this is the guy who tried to get rid of birthright citizenship with an executive order. So, right? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, big true. I suppose. Oh, and then when you were watching the Peace Go Wick Rob thing, you asked at one point if it was like ever a crime to just like tell someone to commit a crime. And you covered, I think you like said something about like incitement and like conspiracy, and obviously like those are way more involved than just like telling someone to commit a crime. But there is a federal statute though for like criminal solicitation, like solicitation to a violent felony.
Gotcha.
But you would run in, if you like ever tried to prosecute someone for it, you would run into exactly the same issues as like you would with incitement. Like for like the First Amendment.
It's a really high bar to.
Yeah. You'd have to. I think like the actual elements for it are you have to like tell someone to commit or try to convince someone. What would be the word? Like. Genuinely, like you are actually trying to convince them to go commit a violent crime, and so you're just going to run it straight into First Amendment protections immediately. It'd be like almost like with what Wick is saying. There's no fucking universe that you could never in a million years could you get a conviction off of. What is he saying? Like it's your moral duty to prevent ICE from like torturing people or something. Like you're never getting there with that.
Gotcha.
I feel like I had one more thing. Oh, okay. I have one more thing.
Yeah.
you talk a lot about how like you can't, and I like agree with this sentiment like in a broader sense that you just straight up can't you can't like plug the holes in our system for bad faith actors. Like if someone's going to be bad faith, they're just going to be bad faith. There is one thing I don't know how. I mean, I do know how. Fucking Roberts, you piece of fucking shit. What we consider to be, or what we are like, what we'll allow ourselves to like think, oh, that might be allowed when it comes to official acts, is fucking unbelievable. And there needs to be like some restructuring of like how we think of like what can possibly. And I don't even mean like obviously like you and I are both gonna have like the most obvious agreements of like, well, trying to get the trying to get your supporters to steal an election is not obviously an official act ever.
The problem is that the way that he phrased it with that, I don't think you can ever touch that without doing like constitutional amendments. And I don't even know if you'd want those constitutional amendments, because like at its heart, you shouldn't be able to criminalize powers of the president. That's true. But like the president doesn't have the power to commit crimes. So there's no need for the protection. So I don't even know what kind of, you would need to reverse that in the Supreme Court. It's just a bad interpretation of law.
Yeah, so this is the example I always go to. I never hear people talk about this, but I think like one of the biggest things that like the president himself especially, and then apparently every single fucking person in the entire executive branch has just decided that they can do now, presumably because of Trump v. US, is defamation. Like under no circumstances can it ever be, should it ever be, or can it ever be considered an official use of your government power to defame citizens? Ever.
Well, but the president already has unlimited protection against civil, like he's immune from all civil.
He's going to have, but it's the same criticism, right? We're criticizing Trump v. US for allowing that to happen. But you can just apply the same criticism to Nixon v. Fitzgerald and just be like, yeah, it's the same problem. This is fucking retarded, and it never should have been set up this way.
Well, the Nixon v. Fitzgerald framework made sense because like if you get fired because of an action of the president, like I don't know if they should be able to sue you. I
agree. Yeah, that's right. I'm only talking about categorical problems. I'm saying like specifically, like it should be like laid out in some framework, like that something that specific. You could say like true, proper, and we could even like give it the higher deferential standard. We could say like the actual malice standard of defamation, to say like like defamation with actual malice is never an official act of an executive branch official, and therefore like it's never protected. If you're like doing actual malice defamation against a U.S. citizen as the president or as the AG or as the whoever the fuck you are, that's never protected.
Yeah.
It should be the case.
I can't believe the fact that the president's allowed to be like suing people also in private capacity while the president as well is also fucking crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, people don't. I almost never hear people talk about that. They'll talk about all of the other like crazy illegal shit he does. But then I'm like, I think genuinely, the way in which this administration has decided they can just like infinitely defame everybody.
Yeah.
Is like one of the most destructive things that's been allowed like in our system. The fact that like. It goes back to like the first time I noticed it, I was like, well, this is really bad and this shouldn't be allowed. It's like, look at Abrego Garcia back like when we were having that fight over him. They were just like, yeah, he's actually a terrorist, child fucking predator. He actually had 1 million gigabytes of child porn on his computer. We found that like they're just infinitely defaming a person.
Yeah.
As the fucking attorney general. Well, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think it applies to these last two cases too, where I heard so many crazy things about Renee was like, I think at one point they said that she was ramming officers as they were trying to get a car unstuck from a snowbank or whatever, and like viciously attacked cops. That like the way they've described these situations has been insane.
Yeah, well, it's obviously fucking super easy to do with people that you've killed already.
Yeah,
you can
or with anybody really. If you're the government, you can just keep saying. I mean, how many times did Trump say that Ilhan Omar is the product of incest or married her brother or whatever? Like, just yeah.
Like this is one of the people were. It's at the time it was kind of a good thing, right? When you remember when you remember the fucking Eugene Carroll defamation lawsuit?
Eugene Carroll, for Kavanaugh or whatever?
No, for Trump when he like.
No, Eugene Carroll for the civil rape thing, right?
Eugene Carroll. Yeah. So whenever she first filed whenever at the beginning of that defamation suit, like the DOJ was fighting it on the basis of like Trump made those statements defending himself. Like that's an official act of the president. He was just defending himself from what you said about him. So you can't it's official act. You can't fucking touch him. And then eventually, once he had left office, he repeated the same statements, the same defamatory statements. And so the DOJ dropped their opposition to the suit. They're like, well, I mean, you can't make the same claim now, bitch. You're not president. So they dropped their opposition. Yeah. I almost wish it, like, as that litigation was going on, and now obviously query whether the Supreme Court would have allowed this if it ever made it to their doorstep. But as that litigation was going on, it looked like there was an okay-ish chance that the circuit court at the time was going to allow, was going to like say like, no, defamation isn't an official act. If you're if you're defaming a person, that's not an official act of the president. So you can't make that claim. But we didn't get to that point because the DOJ just dropped their opposition to the suit.
Yeah.
I almost wish at the time that would have gone through, because if you notice, this is a hard claim to justify, but I truly believe it's true. If you notice, a lot of the unconstitutional or illegal stuff the admin that the admin does is stuff that they either pretty much can guarantee themselves they'll never get held accountable for, or they have a really good reason to believe they'll never be held accountable for it.
Sure.
And so I feel like if we had that at the time of we had at least circuit precedent, now again, query Supreme Court, right?
Yeah.
But if we had circuit precedent saying like, no, defamation is not a fucking official act, you're cooked, then maybe we wouldn't be seeing stuff like that now.
Maybe. Yeah, who knows? It's hard to say what the Supreme Court would or wouldn't have signed off on, or what they would or wouldn't have heard, or what they'd be willing to hear or overturn, or who knows, yeah.
That's another aspect where I kind of I do agree with you broadly that you just can't constrain these people if they want to be bad faith. But I think there's something to be said for putting things in place that would not necessarily penalize the individual for violations of the Constitution or of law, but penalize their goals, so to speak. Like with the due process violations, like with the Alien Enemies Act, or with you saw the fucking ICE memo about we actually don't care about the Fourth Amendment. Like admin warrants are good enough to break into your house.
Yeah, although I mean, even for stuff that we do have penalties for, is that I'm trying to think of who would have been held in contempt. You remember on the Boasberg stuff where they didn't follow through on the turning the planes around or whatever, or maintaining or keeping Abrego Garcia in there? That was supposed to be a contempt thing, right? I don't know if he was found in contempt and there was no. But did anything ever come from that, or?
No, I think it was either a circuit court, or I don't think it was the Supreme Court, but I think eventually a circuit court shot down the notion of finding anybody in contempt of that. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at it exactly what happened. But I know it wasn't Boasberg that dropped it on his own. That motherfucker was he was a dog with a bone on that one. He wanted it. But I think eventually a higher court shot it down at some notion. But that's not even where I was necessarily going with that. I think you could actually deter some of this behavior if there were consequences as it relates to their overall goal. So where I was going with the whole search warrants thing is they'll do stuff like this where they say, where they will warp, not even warp, they're just lying about what the interpretation of the Fourth Amendment. We know for a fact, an admin warrant is not good enough for to justify breaking into a house for these things. I mean, this is the exact reason the Fourth Amendment was created. This is what the British King was doing. These general warrants, which weren't signed by a judge, they were just signed by someone someone in the quote unquote executive branch in the monarchy, right?
Yeah.
This is the exact reason we have the Fourth Amendment, so this does not happen. I think you could deter some of this behavior if a consequence of doing it, if it were the case that hey, you got this guy, but you violated the Fourth Amendment while doing it, so none of what you were going to do within the court system can move forward. If it was a deportation proceeding, sorry, none of this can move forward because you violated the Fourth Amendment to get him. Or if it's a criminal thing, sorry, you violated the Fourth Amendment. None of it can. Now I understand there could be downstream very bad consequences of that, but I think you can you're never going to deter constitutionally violative behavior if there is no consequence, and there really is no consequence. Think about it.
I understand.
You bullshit around with the Fourth Amendment. What's
I understand
the
what you're
consequence?
saying
The
here.
guy still gets deported.
I understand what you're saying here. I don't necessarily disagree. The reason why I just have such little care for it is that who's to say that they won't find some other pretextual path to the same thing that allows them to do it through some other type of process or procedure? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I'm also just so fundamentally disinterested in trying to find how to legally put the reins on. And I understand. I mean, to some extent, there is some argument to be made for it. But you're right. I just don't care that much. You are right though. But it's something has to change dramatically with the Republican Party going forward. It can't be this. This is just crazy. And we can't be making rules and laws and wasting political capital and time on trying to patch shit around this when it's just so abhorrent and not.
Well, you've nailed it on that. You're completely 100% right in the sense that what you've talked about the biggest the biggest deterrent to behavior like this is to make them feel like there will be consequences for it. So in terms of what we can do to patch these types of holes from ever happening again, you're correct in that the biggest thing we can do to prevent it from happening again is to genuinely and I use the word viciously punish people after when we get the chance to. Their punishments need to be massive, and that will be the biggest deterrent to it ever happening again.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Yeah. I just
look at that was one of the patterns I picked up when I was looking at I was looking at a huge list of all the things that the admin has done that are violative of the Constitution, and I'm the pattern I notice here is that for all of these things, the consequence of doing so as it relates to the goal, like what they were trying to accomplish, whether it be deportations or arresting someone or whatever the fuck, the consequences are zero. There are like the whatever they were trying to accomplish initially will still happen, but they just violated the Constitution in the process. I was like, well, if that wasn't the case, if you couldn't get away with it in the sense that you could not move forward with whatever you were trying to do, I think that would do something. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Oh. All right, well, that was it.
Yeah, I'll see you in a week.
I'll see you in South Carolina.
Yeah,
Yep.
should be fun.
All right, have fun.
True. Voting for Trump and then conveniently not keeping up with politics is pure cowardice. Turn around and look at the disaster you helped usher in. You don't get to look away. True. I still can't believe he flew to Minnesota and flew back. How many hours was that outdoor stream? It must have been at least like 6 hours, right? For that single day, just so that he could right away on the next day on Twitter be like, I was on the ground. Oh my God.
He was murdered. This is not the prevailing narrative on the left, is that he was murdered. This is not the case.
Oh, was it 2 days? Maybe it was 2 days. Sorry. I thought he was there back in the day. Never mind. Okay, 2 days.
I have reviewed the footage. He, in many ways, murdered himself. The way Mufasa is climbing is very aggressive. He's using his claws and scratching quite offensively at the wall. Scar watches this aggressive lion climbing up toward him, shouting at him, screaming aggressively. Still, Scar tries to save him. He puts his hands down, looks into Mufasa's face, and says, "Long live the king." He tries to pull him up. Mufasa falls backwards, dies. His own fault. I don't know how anybody could come to any other conclusion having watched that footage. Scar was just doing his job. A reasonable consequence for somebody moving towards you is their death. Mufasa was an extremist. He believed in this circle of life, a very woke ideology. You gotta ask, did that contribute to his death? As far as I'm concerned, Scar is state sanctioned. So whatever he does